Hi guys, back again, and today we're doing a little video on just a walk around of my modded Xbox 360 Slim. Just some quick information about it. It uses 3 hard drives, an optical drive emulator, and a few different tweaks and things around it. It is live safe, well, to a degree, because I'm using an optical emulator instead of a flash drive. It doesn't get picked up by Xbox Live if I am using an image, and that's not supporting piracy or anything. That's just makes it a lot quicker to load, and it's a lot quieter as well. I've ripped a lot of my games that I own here and just throw them onto a 500 gig eSATA drive to use with it. And yeah, as I said, it just makes it a lot quicker to load and stuff. And this unit's a bit noisy with the optical drive, and it sort of just takes away from the whole game in a way. It's a bit too noisy. But without further ado, I'll just stumble up my words there and yeah, take a little quick look around it. So first up, it's pretty bog standard on the front. I've modified the LEDs in the power button here. They're a bunch of different colours. You know, everyone does that. Whoop-de-doo. On the top here we have a Wasabi 360 Ultra, I think it's called. I don't even know if they even make these anymore. The website hasn't been updated in a long time. It's the same as the Xkey basically. I just like the way that they use this sidecar sort of mount on it, like what's used on dev units or XDKs or whatever they're used on. I don't know too much about them, so. But if you know the correct terminology for which system they were designed for, but yeah. So it's got this cool little control panel here if you've never seen a Wasabi before, and this little thing here lights up. This is the, sorry, that's out of focus. This is the pass-through switch. So at the moment when it's switched to the left here, it's in emulation mode. So it pulls all the images off a hard drive and then you can load them from there. If you flick it to the right, then you can put it back into normal mode. Now, with this being connected to Xbox Live, one thing that you should really do if you are going to be updating the dashboard is you have to flick it over to pass-through first before you update it, because some Xbox 360, I'm all muddled up, I've got a massive headache. Some 360 dashboard updates flash the firmware on a optical drive with new features and stuff. Nah, it's just to get rid of spoofed drives and things like that, and some that have custom firmware on them. I was never a big fan of custom firmware on optical drives just because it's just messy burning the discs and stuff, and it never lasts online. I've been using this on Xbox Live for about 3 years now. 2 or 3 years. Pretty close to 3 years now, non-stop. Until recently when I didn't have the internet, but using this online for about 2 or 3 years, as I said, it's never skipped a beat. It's never come up with an error or anything, which I can probably say this is pretty live safe. But don't take my word for it, because if you get one and you get banned, it's not my fault. That's also to do with patching discs images correctly and everything like that. But that's enough of that. That's rambling and whatever. So I'll just spin it across. This is the 4GB version, or was. It's a Trinity motherboard, so it uses a daughter board for the internal 4GB flash, which isn't in there at the moment, and I'll show you why in a second. Here's just the top of it, nothing special, matte grey finish. I've worked on the 250GB version of this as well a lot of times, fixing them for people, and honestly I prefer the matte finish because it just doesn't get as scratched as easy. No matter how perfect and careful you're with it, it gets scratched. It's like the PS3 over there. Even just sitting there, it's getting scratched somehow. I don't know. Just walking past it or whatever. But anyway. Now, I'll just tip this up a bit. Sorry for the squeaky tripod. Let's zoom in. Now this is pretty interesting here. I'll probably link to a tutorial I made on this. It's just a bit of a written tutorial on a forum. This is a USB port, obviously, but what does it do? Well, it replaces the internal 4GB module straight out to USB like this, so I can connect up any hard drive I want. Now, if you're wondering what's the point of that when you can just use any old USB device on normal USB ports, here is the OS treats them very differently for security reasons and stuff and things like that. When you connect up a flash drive just to the normal USB port on here and set it up as a memory device, it gets set up as external storage, and how do I put it? Basically, you can't do a lot of things with it. Some games won't allow you to save to it, and you can't save certain content. You can't transfer content from the internal hard drive to here, or you can with some stuff, but it's just a complete fuck around. It's annoying. So what this does is it replaces the internal flash storage unit, which just runs off a USB protocol, and comes out here. The other thing is, using this method, I can have up to 2 terabytes in a single partition connected up to it. So that's 2 terabytes of usable Xbox space. Now, with these USB ports, I think they're limited to, I don't know what it is. I think it's only about 8 gigabytes or something, or 16 or something useless like that. Running out of breath. That's that bit there. It runs through the top of the Wasabi, and because the Wasabi already had a hole chopped in it to connect up all the wires and stuff coming from here, it's better. It came nice and neat. I would have preferred to, if I had a 3D printer, I would have printed up a little extension housing for this and make it nice and neat to blend in with this sidecar here. Again, if you've never seen the Wasabi, it uses a eSATA connection, which I prefer. I don't like the Xkeys. The main reason I don't like Xkeys is because it's got this little flappy remote that hangs off. You don't have to use it, but the remote's kind of annoying hanging off the side there, and it uses USB 2.0. And the problem with USB 2.0 is it's kind of slow, and like, you're going from, say if you connect up a USB hard drive to an Xkey, you're going SATA to USB, back to SATA, and then back into the optical drive in the unit. Whereas this way, it's just going straight from SATA to eSATA, the same connection, it's just straight pins straight through, so there's no slowdowns or bottlenecks there. It goes straight in, goes into here, and does its magical ISO mounting magic stuff, and it goes into the optical drive. So you're not changing between, you're not ending up with bottlenecks. Sorry, I'm probably just rambling, but that's the main reason I don't like the Xkeys. And it's sad because it seems like the Wasabi's dead. Like, they haven't updated their website in 2 years almost, and yeah, it was meant to have ripping functions and things, but looking at all the other ripping devices for, say, the Xkey and the 3-key and whatever, it looks like you need an extra board for that, and I doubt the two devices are any different at all. I bet they're just clones of each other. I don't know. I haven't really looked too closely at it. I don't really care. Yeah. Anyway, going on, rambling about all that stuff. On the back here, I've covered up my serial number because I do use this on Xbox Live, and I don't want anyone stealing it. I bought this console used from EB Games for $150 when my old 360 died, and sadly I threw it out because I really want to get an original one because it looked nice. Yeah, as I said, it's Trinity. All I use on it now is HDMI outputs and a couple USB ports for the hard drives and stuff. Flipping it over to the side here, and I'll have to tilt this down. Oh, one thing before I flip it over. I have these little rubber feet on the bottom here, these little foam feet. That's because the shelf that it sits in is only really cheap. I got it from like a $2 shop, and the MDF is, because it's cheap, it's really thin, so when you're using the optical drive in any of these units, unless it's the one on the bottom of the stack, it's pretty loud. It vibrates. That's another reason why I use this all the time. Even with these feet, it's still a bit too loud. Yep, there's the back. Sorry, this video is sort of not very polished, but I'll flip up the bottom. Oh my god, 250 gigabytes. Not really. It's just a cheap hard drive. It's only 20 gigabytes, And honestly, I don't think I'll ever upgrade this disc because I don't even use it anymore. I just use the modified memory unit because it's just easier. I don't have to use any sort of special firmware on the hard disks or anything. I can just use any disk I want because it is just a USB drive inside the unit technically. You don't have to worry about that sort of stuff because you can't really flash a. They don't have firmware or anything for a USB device. It's just a straight, solid piece of flash firmware. Flash storage on there, just one little IC. But yeah, enough rambling. Blah blah blah. I'm going on and on and on. Yeah, just a 20 gig hard drive. This is a cheap knockoff Chinese housing from eBay. It doesn't even say Xbox on it anywhere. It's got a couple save games on it, but I don't even use it anymore. Yeah, as I said before. And to be honest, there's no speed difference between the two because I believe this is only like SATA 1, so you're never going to notice any difference with it. And for some weird reason, installing, say, a game like... Grand Theft Auto 5 onto this hard drive is slower loading than loading off that USB device. It's probably got something to do with the way it mounts the disc and everything, and it's a mechanical hard drive, which really makes no difference because the hard drive I've connected to here is mechanical. And I'll stop, I'm just rambling. I'm going on and on and on. But yeah, now I'll just stick it back in the spot where it lives and I'll show you the rest of the setup. Alright, so here's the Xbox. This is how it looks in the stack. If you looked at it in my room tours and stuff, it's pretty standard. I'll just move that light. Yeah, so I've got the rubber feet underneath here, and it also helps because this can't sit all the way back onto the shelf properly because there's so many cables and stuff behind it, so it sort of helps keep it nice and level. So I'll just turn it on. It should still be in passive mode, emulation mode. And just here I've got a 500 gig 2.5 inch drive in a eSATA enclosure, just to give it power and everything. And right next to it there, you can't see it, it's just a 40 gigabyte hard drive. It's actually pulled out of a PS3 actually, and it's just sitting loose there. The problem with this is I couldn't draw power for the 40 gig drive off that little USB port because it just doesn't support that much current on the way I've wired it up inside it. I've just used the original connectors off the flash unit. And I need to change that, but at the moment I'm just pulling power off one of the USB ports, and the problem is in standby those extra USB ports get power, so the disk is always running, so it's probably not good for it to be running constantly 24/7, but yeah, I'll work out a way around it. I'll probably end up swapping all the disks out with SSDs and just tossing that 20 gig hard drive that's inside it because it's just useless. I don't even use it. So without further ado, I'll just turn it on. And I've got these just little LEDs I put in there, nice and swirly pattern. The thing I like about the 360 ring of light board, actual PCB behind it, is each segment, each quadrant, sorry, is made up of two LEDs each, so I could have two separate colors in there, as opposed to on the normal original Xbox 360s where they were just one giant SMD LED, so 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas this has got 8, and it's got a bicolor LED in the center, and I just replaced that with a straight up red one. So normally the Xbox can display either red or green in the center. Red obviously is an error. It replaces the 3 red rings, or the different number of red rings that you would normally get on an original Xbox 360, and it replaces just one single dot. To be honest, I'm not too worried if this system does, if it does develop a fault like that. Normally a fault like that would either be a problem with the processor, which is very unlikely with this system because it runs so cool, or it could be just a NAND issue, like a flash ROM issue, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. Maybe in 100 years when the in the end finally just dies, but yeah. So I'll just move this across so you can see the telly. I'll have to stop the video here. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I just had to plug my controller in and move it all around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go across to my guest account. And no internet, and sound's going through the TV for some weird reason. It's not meant to do that, but I'll just leave it for now. So at the moment it loads up, no matter what account you're in, it'll load up whatever image was loaded up before, last time you ran the system. And before I was just playing some Tomb Raider, and all I have to do is just go eject. The optical drive doesn't do anything because it's turned off at the moment, so now it moves over to mixed media disk. There is a update for the Wasabi, which I'm not going to do on it. It replaces this sort of setup I'm about to show you with just a DVD file, and it comes up with little icons of all the discs. The Xkey has a similar feature, but I just don't like it because it's kind of if you've got a multi-disc game or anything, or you're installing an expansion off an image, it can just too messy to do. So I just like to leave it in this media mode. That's what it's called. So we go over to TVs and movie under this new Windows 8 style dashboard, whatever you want to call it. And we'll just go in there and we just go over to System Video Player, and then we go down to Current Disk. And there's all the images. So say I want to play Bioshock, whoops. Say I want to play Bioshock, you just press A, ISO selected, and you go all the way back. And this TV has really bad speakers, that's why I don't use the speakers in the TV, if you're wondering. Reading, and it should load up the image. It supports every sort of image type, because the Xbox uses different encryption and copyright protection on different images, on different discs. So you've got like XD3 and stuff like that. So if I wanted, I can go into this. Generally it cuts the load time in about half with most games. It depends what it's loading off the disc and what it's loading off your hard drive. So enough with that, and we'll just go over to settings here, and I'll just show you the hard drive. So we go over to storage and press A. So currently we've got 2 devices and cloud storage, which I don't use. So as I was telling you before, this is the hard drive in the unit, branded with Microsoft, because it's reading the Microsoft thing is built into the firmware to tell it to bring up that little image. I can add it to this disk as well. I think it's just a PNG file I have to add into a certain folder, but it doesn't bother me. It works fine. And this hard drive is actually not even an original Microsoft one. I bought it from China. It's like a modified Seagate drive or something. But yeah, it's pretty well filled up. I've had this hard drive for years, way before this Xbox was around. So. And this is the memory unit, so as you can see it's got 20.2 gigabytes free, which is insanely big. Like, you can't get normal memory units that big. And if you see, the little image beside it just shows a picture of the console, so it's coming up as, because it's reading off the internal USB hub, it reads it as an actual memory unit. That's the cool thing about it. It has a different, I guess you could say, address. So that's how it determines the difference between a Microsoft memory unit and an external one. So let's just save certain things onto it, as I was saying before. And all I've got on here is just games and apps, and system items would probably just be, yeah, to be cache for it. And there's all my save games that I've put on here so far. So I've got Brink, Angry Birds, Ghosts, Crisis, DDR, DS Universe, which I don't even know that's even the name of the game, actually. No, I don't know. Huh, that's weird. It's not called DDR. That's the dancing game I've got. Fallout, Forza 4, and I own all these games, if you're wondering. Skyrim, and yeah. Ooh, and Watch Dogs. What's that? TWD. Oh, The Walking Dead. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's Xbox Live safe. I've been using it on Xbox Live for a couple of years, as I said. And yeah, it was a pretty good investment. All up, the console, the hard drive, and everything to get this all set up was ended up being around about the $250 to $300 mark, which will be a lot cheaper now if you can find a Trinity. I recommend only doing it on the Trinity model because the Wasabi has an auto feature that's built into it that the Xkey doesn't has. That's another thing I bought it for. The drive that I have in here, it's I can't remember what it is now. I think it's like a Light-on or something. It's 16 something DS. That's the drive model. And the Wasabi can actually rip the drive key straight from it. So you don't have to pull the optical drive out and rip it using a computer, or drill into the PCB and cut a line or whatever, and all that other crap. So yeah, it rips it straight away. They were planning on adding features to rip all the drive's firmware from every different model, but as I said, they're just dead in the water. They haven't done anything for 2 years. I think they gave up on the project pretty much because they made their money and ran. But I was lucky enough to be able to get one. If you can get one, it's really, really good price. Normally, like, I bought this one brand new a couple of years ago when I built the system. It was like $120 with shipping. And that's in Australia where everything is like $1 million more than it should be. But yeah, anyway, I'm just rambling now. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again sometime soon. See? That loaded up straight away. It's awesome. It's really good if you want to just do some casual gaming or anything like that. And here's the memory unit. I think I've got to save to memory unit. Sorry about that really bad sound. I forgot to switch the internal speakers off in the TV after I was playing around with it. Oh, that sounds so bad. Anyway, catch you next time. Bye.